we're running a poll on our YouTube page. Is Patrick Kane's lack of production hurting his value? 4 goals in 29 games, on pace for 11 goals this year.
Got an assist tonight.
He leads the team in shots by like over 40 from like the next closest guy.
He's firing.
He's shooting 4%. Current poll standings, 60% say yes. Patrick Kane's trade value is being hurt. 40% obviously saying no. I don't think that this 30-game sample size is going to scare off anybody from pursuing Patrick Kane. There is too big of a sample size before this of dominant play, had one of his best statistical seasons of all time just last year. It's not like it was 2, 3, 4 years removed. It was last year when he had another phenomenal over point per game season. The scouts around the league that are watching the Blackhawks play are not just watching Patrick Kane. They can see the rest of the bums playing on this team, and they know.
Oh, there goes our
look,
interview
you're going to
with
see
McCabe.
when they get a 3rd or 4th round pick maybe for Max Domi or Athanasiou or whatever, right? Like, teams around the league know what this team is. They know what he's playing with. And also, there's no way in hell a 4% shooting percentage is going to remain. It is just impossible.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. And I think my only concern is if the environment is only playing a small factor. I wonder if, because he's talked about it before, how he has this nagging injury, quote unquote, that surgery won't help, that he's been dealt with for the last few years. The last time that he was asked about it was at the beginning of the season, and he said, "Oh, I actually feel great. I feel better than I did at the beginning of last season." And I don't know, is it nagging him again? I wonder. I wonder if there is something, maybe not just bad luck, not just bad puck luck, not just bad being snake bitten with the shooting percentage. I do question if everything physically is feeling great for him, because you would think that Patrick Kane at full health would be able to have a higher production rate, even with the quality of his teammates that he has, that he's playing with right now. So I don't know. I'm not saying I think he's hurt. I just start to wonder if something besides bad luck is starting to hinder him, besides poor quality of teammate is hindering him. And if this sample size of low shooting percentage, low productivity, if it becomes 35 games, 40 games, 45 games as the season goes on before he asks for a trade, I wonder if teams do start looking at that and start having some of the same questions, start having some of the same doubts. And if you look online, a lot of his analytical charts are not favorable.
They've never been, though.
And no, defensively, yes, I agree. Defensively, he has been terrible his entire career. He doesn't make $10.5 million to play defense. But offensively, they haven't been great. And teams look at that. Like we talk with Luke Richardson, and he puts an emphasis on getting analytical breakdowns from the team's analytics department. So teams look at things like that, and whether they put heavy weight on it, that's a team by team basis kind of thing. But teams look at that, and I think a lot of people around the league are starting to potentially wonder, do we want to give up this big haul of, a trade package, first round pick, top prospect, another first round pick, whatever it might end up being? Do we want to give that to a guy who may be a rental and who you're banking on his legacy and not the half or 2/3 of a season that he's put out in front of him?
I don't think it's hurting his value. It's still Patrick Kane. It's still Patrick Kane coming off one of the best seasons he had.
Yeah.
It's Patrick Kane shooting at a career low, microscopic low shooting percentage. If I'm the Colorado Avalanche, and I can add him to that. I'm not worried about what his shooting percentage
Avalanche
is.
just need NHL players right now.
Well, yeah, but if I'm the Avalanche and I don't care he's shooting 4.5 with Max Domi on his line, I'm going to put him out there with Gabriel Landeskog and Mikko Rantanen, and he'll shoot 11%.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm the Edmonton Oilers, I'm not worried about what he's doing here on this team. Or the Boston Bruins could be a team that might want a little offense to go with that. You know, don't count out the Vegas Golden Knights for somehow figuring out how to trade for him. They've got to be the team that makes the big trade every year. So, like, I don't think it's necessarily hurting his trade value. Somebody in the chat said something about the cap space. That's not the biggest issue. The Hawks can retain half the salary. They can find a third team to come in and get another one. They'll get away with that. I don't think
There's a will, there's a way.
It can happen. If Jack Eichel can get traded to a team that had 8 cents worth of cap space at the time, Patrick Kane can get traded. It will happen.
You find ways.
They'll make
It's
it
easy.
work.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you have smart people in your front offices to find ways to make this work.
Plus the base salary, if a team you're worried about the actual financial, it's 2.9.
And
that's for the whole season.
And it's only like 25% of that.
Right,
So you're
right.
talking, less than $1 million of physical cash. Here's the one thing that I'm worried about is going to hinder his trade value. If he decides to trade and he only wants to go to one team,
Right.
and that one
That
team
hurts.
will know, that will hurt his trade. That will drive the trade value down worse than any stat that he has right now. If he says, I only want to go to the Colorado Avalanche, the Colorado Avalanche only, you know damn well that's getting leaked to Joe Sakic, and he will know that, and
Of
he'll
course.
go, well, you either take this half-ass offer or you get nothing, and he walks for nothing at the end of the year.
That's true. However, if it does get out there that he wants to go to one team, say it's the Avalanche, say it's the Rangers or whatever, guess what? Rangers fans are going to catch wind of that, and they're going to say, Patrick Kane wants to come here, and you're not going to do it? Do it. Try to win. Try to win a Stanley Cup. That's what this is all about.
How well did that work in Toronto last year?
Well, I'm just saying. I think it's not as simple as a GM just playing complete hardball with the Hawks, because there's going to be pressure on that GM to get it done. And this is what we don't know about Kyle Davidson yet, is how he negotiates trades, right? Like, he got a freaking haul for Brandon Hagel, but an underwhelming return for Alex DeBrincat, right?
Yeah.
And there were factors weighing into both. Hagel was signed long-term for cheap. DeBrincat's a free agent after this year, so he's a question mark. It's not as simple, Lou Malnati's. It's not as simple as like just one for one, right? It doesn't work that way. Like, who's a better player, who's not. But this is what we're going to find out is what kind of stones does Kyle Davidson have? And look, like, we gave him a little bit of, I don't want to say praise, but like kind of understood like why they didn't move Dylan Strome for a 6th-round pick or whatever, which from what we were told was the biggest offer for him at the deadline, just kind of out of respect to Dylan Strome. But now we're seeing Dylan Strome thrive with Alex Ovechkin, and the Hawks have nothing to show for him or for Kubalik or for, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
this is what we don't really know about Davidson yet. And I do think it'll be more than one team, but it's probably not going to be more than 2 or 3 that Patrick Kane wants to go to. It's probably going to be, I mean, and by the way, the Rangers, if you haven't noticed, they kind of suck.
They're not the
what they
Rangers that they were last year.
Yeah, they're not like a team that's on the cusp of Stanley Cup right now.
Big surprise Chris Kreider couldn't replicate his 50-goal season.
Weird, right?
Yeah. No, me thinks the Rangers played over their heads last season. And
Yeah.
now they're playing more like they should have played last season. So
Yeah.
I joked we're going to see the Rangers on Sunday. The Blackhawks beat them again. Why would Patrick Kane want to request a trade that couldn't beat the Blackhawks twice?
That happens.
They are
yeah.
currently the top wild card team in the East.
And
So
the East is it.
East is a
Son of a
monster.
bitch.
it
this
is.
year.
East
It's
is a
tough.
monster.
It's
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah. You know, with that, Kane is a very calculated person. He's not the wild child that he was when he first, became a star in Chicago. He's a very calculated guy, very conscious of his legacy here in the city and what he means and of his value. And, we talked about it earlier. All indications point to Kane and Taze meeting with Kyle Davidson next month at some point to kind of discuss the future. There's no reason that Patrick Kane can't bide his time to really see, okay, who are the contending teams? Who are the, which level of contention is each team at that's in the playoff picture? Are the Rangers contending enough that going to New York, playing with Panarin is enticing enough? Or is it I'm only going to look at teams that Patrick Kane would decipher as like they are going to go deep, and I need to be and me being a part of it makes the most sense. Is it is it New Jersey? Is it
that would be a scary team?
Is it Colorado? Is it Edmonton? Like, is it he's really going to I believe he's really going to take some time and decipher things. And I also think he's so calculated that he may not think that going to any of these teams is going to be worth it for him in his career and in his personal life. As much as it would suck, he may just ride out this season and see how things play out in the summer, where he has more control over where he wants to go, if he wants to go anywhere.
Maybe he wants to see where the Hawks land in the draft lottery.
Maybe.
And the Hawks can trade him. They can trade his rights at the draft. Now, you're not going to get a lot because all you're trading for is the week or so to negotiate with him,
right?
Ahead of him becoming an unrestricted free agent. But that's a reality, and there's a reality they might just want to finish a Hawk.
And if I'm Patrick Kane and I do want to get traded, and I make the decision and I want to win a cup, I'm not asking to get traded to any team in the East right now. It's too wide open. I mean, the team you think has got the best chance at the trade deadline could be eliminated in the first round because that's so. I'd be like, send me to Colorado.
Look at how high people were on the Panthers last year.
Yeah,
and they crapped out in the second round.
Maybe that's the team he goes to.
Oof. I don't know.
They used to be the only team the Blackhawks traded with.
Yeah, them and the Hurricanes.
Dale Talon's not there anymore,
Yeah.
so that was. But like, I don't know. If I'm Patrick Kane, I want to get traded. I'm looking at one of the top teams in the West because that's an easier path to a Stanley Cup final. Colorado, man, when they get healthy, they're the favorite. I picked Calgary to win it all this year. Not looking great right now, but that's a team that, if they get their act together, will be a very tough playoff out. So
yeah.
The East is just so tough. 1 week it's like Toronto are the world beaters, and then there's still Tampa out there and Boston and the Devils. Are they for real? I think they're for real. They may need an upgrade in goaltending for the playoffs, but it's so tough out there. I kind of want
Can't help them there.
I kind of want Patrick Kane to go to the Devils now.
That'd be wild.
God, that
so
would be
fun.
a fun team.
Jack Hughes and
Bring in
Patrick
a
Kane.
veteran leader to show those kids how to do it in the playoffs. That'd be a lot of fun.
Hey, 2 for 1. Give them Taves
buddy.
and Kane.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I want to. There's a couple of people in the chat. I saw earlier the Hawks should trade Kane for David Pastrnak. That's not going to happen. No, the Avalanche are not going to trade Bowen Byram to the Blackhawks for Patrick Kane. These teams are trying to make their teams better, right? Bowen Byram's a huge part of the Avalanche's future.
Yeah.
David Pastrnak is Boston's best player. They're not going to. That's not going to happen. So you need to temper your expectations a little bit on that. Here's one more thing I'll say before we wrap up. With the rumors of the cap only going up $1 million next year, there's a lot of teams that were sort of operating this year saying, all right, well, the cap's going to go up. We'll be able to do some things. Does that create a sudden, I don't want to say panic, but an urgency for teams like Boston, for teams like Pittsburgh, frankly, who's like trying to make one more run at it? Does that fact that it's only going up $1 million create some urgency for teams to get some stuff done this year? I wonder.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Maybe.
And that drives values up too.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, changes the free agency market going into the next season if it's only going to jump up $1 million. So, a lot of factors play into that.
Well, just to expand on that a second, if the cap doesn't go up as much as people were hoping for, that is a bigger advantage for the Blackhawks come summer 2024.
Yeah.
Because there'll be less teams able to compete with them for some of those top free agents. Austin Matthews.
Well, and that forces them into some teams into being a little bit more keen on shedding bad contracts. Maybe if they expected to have some extra wiggle room where, this contract doesn't hurt us as much now because the cap went up $3 million. Well, now it's only going up $2 million or only up $1 million. So now that's different budgeting that you have to.
Yeah,
I
would expect at least one or two of those Peter Mrazek type trades on draft day this year.
Yep.
Taking that bad contract. Hawks have to spend a lot of money just to get to the cap floor.
Or even in season leading up to the deadline. Some teams might say we need to make some more cap room if we're going to really be players at the deadline.
Well, they could be the third team in one of these blockbuster deals that takes the bad contract from the team acquiring the superstar from another team. They could be that facilitator to take on the bad contract and get their first round pick or top prospect with it.
Yeah.
Yep.